Welcome back to Your Fantasy Nerd, and I'm very sorry. We all here at Your Fantasy Nerd are very sorry that we weren't able to come out with our Week 4 rankings. To be honest, we were just way too busy, and we'll do our best every week. We'll most likely get most of these weeks out, but we're very sorry for that. But we're just going to move on from it. Moving on to Week 5, we have our quarterback and running back rankings in this video. Let's run right through the top 10. At number 1, Tom Brady. He's a consensus number 1. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers. Number 3, Matt Ryan. 4, Drew Brees. 5, Andrew Luck, who's actually out, so discount him. Number 6, Eli Manning. 7, Phillip Rivers. 8, Peyton Manning. 9, Tyrod Taylor. And at number 10, Carson Palmer. So first guy I want to talk about is Drew Brees, sitting at number 4 on our list. I've got him at number 5. Last week he put up very productive numbers with 359 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's 22.2 fantasy points. He's going up against Philadelphia this week at Philadelphia. Their run defense, Philadelphia, is very good. Pass defense, a little bit iffy. So I think Drew Brees has a really nice matchup this week. He finally got C.J. Spiller going with that long touchdown at the end. So I think he'll be a nice benefactor going forward for him. And I really like Drew Brees this week. Go ahead and start him with confidence. All right, now the last guy on this list I want to talk about is Peyton Manning at number 8. I have him at number 9. The thing about Peyton Manning is he's going on the road against Oakland. In most situations, it's an obvious start, and I definitely think you start him for this reason, actually. Here's a quick stat for you. Peyton Manning in his 2 games at home this year, 6.5 fantasy points. His 2 games on the road, 19.5 fantasy points, okay? He's going on the road against Oakland, and I really just think this is a great matchup for him. He's actually done very well on the road, as I said there, so I think you start him with confidence. The run game clearly isn't there, so he's going to have to chuck it all around the field, so I like Peyton Manning a lot this week. All right, now moving on to 11 through 20 here. At number 11, Russell Wilson. Number 12, Blake Bortles. Number 13, Sam Bradford. 14, Kirk Cousins. 15, Alex Smith. 16, Matthew Stafford. 17, Jay Cutler. 18, Joe Flacco. 19, Derek Carr. And at number 20, Marcus Mariota. So I want to talk about 2 guys on this list that are kind of becoming potential starters for you in a couple situations if you really need it, and that's at number 12, Blake Bortles. I've got him at number 10, and he's really produced very well, actually. He's been the 10th best quarterback so far in fantasy, and the great thing is he's going up against at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has only forced 2 picks this entire season against quarterbacks, and Tampa Bay's also giving up 30 points per game to the teams they're playing. And Tampa Bay hasn't really played all that many good teams. I mean, Carolina's not great on offense. New Orleans hasn't been great on offense. Tennessee hasn't been great on offense. So I think Jacksonville's kind of that similar team, but they're not great on offense. And I don't see why Blake Bortles doesn't just dominate this game. I think he's going to have a really nice day. And I actually think you start Blake Bortles. I'm starting him at number 10 at quarterback. I know the last guy is Alex Smith at 15. I have him at 12. I really like this matchup for Alex Smith. Alex Smith threw for 369 yards last week, I believe, and he's going up against Chicago, who obviously does not have a good defense. Anyone going up against Chicago is basically a must-start, and I think Smith is a must-start this week as well. Alex Smith has really had 1 bad game this entire year up against Denver. And that was just a tough game overall for Kansas City. Losing that one was a tough one, watching Charles fumble at the end of the game. So that was really tough for him. And otherwise, he's averaging 20 fantasy points per game besides that Denver game. So realistically, he could be a top 10 quarterback by the end of the year. And I really like Alex Smith. Go ahead and start. All right, now moving on to running back. We're going to go through the top 10 right away here. At number 1, Jamal Charles. Number 2, Le'Veon Bell. Number 3, Eddie Lacy. Number 4, Matt Forte. 5, Justin Forsett. 6, Devontae Freeman. 7, Todd Gurley. 8, Arian Foster. 9, Mark Ingram. And at number 10, Dion Lewis, actually. So 3 of those guys, actually, Freeman, Gurley, and Lewis, I don't even think were even considered top 10 options. No way they were considered top 10 options at the beginning of the year, but they're making names for themselves. And I'm going to go ahead and, before I get into any of those guys, first guy is Le'Veon Bell at number 2. I haven't talked about him at all on the show so far since week 1, or since the preseason, because really he hasn't been in a game he didn't play the first 2 games. So, but Le'Veon Bell is so good. He's the 18th fantasy running back right now. And he didn't even play the first 2 games, okay? He's so good at what he does, averaging 20 fantasy points a game. I mean, it's not really much to say. He already has 14 catches in 2 games. The guy's a PPR stud. Michael Vick at quarterback, they're really going to need to rely heavily on the ball. And they're going up against San Diego, who's 31st against run. It's all set up well for a great week. I love Le'Veon Bell, number 2 running back this week, just behind Jamaal Charles. All right, now the next guy is Devonta Freeman at number 6. I've got him at number 4. Folks, if you watched our start-sit video week 3, I was a proponent of starting Devonta Freeman, but I didn't even start Devonta Freeman on my team that week, and he dropped a 37-burger on me, okay? So that kind of made me upset. But I've learned my lesson. I've started him every week since. Going to start him this week. He's going up against Washington. I've been pretty high on them defensively, this Washington team. But realistically, it's Devonta Freeman. He's going to get the ball. Tevin Coleman, bye-bye. You're done. It's Devonta Freeman's show. So I just think he's a potential top 10 running back rest of the season, I think. So Devonta Freeman, easy start. And yeah, so he's the number 1 running back right now by 15 fantasy points, which is just ridiculous, without even starting the first 2 weeks. That is crazy. All right, now moving on to 11 through 20. At number 11, Frank Gore. Number 12, Carlos Hyde. 13, Joseph Randall. 14, Danny Woodhead. 15, Latavius Murray. 16, Doug Martin. 17, TJ Yeldon. 18, Alfred Morris. 19, Ronnie Hillman. And at number 20, Marshawn Lynch. So I only want to talk about one guy on this list, and it's the guy that I kind of got a little excited about when I said his name. Ronnie Hillman at 19. I've got him at 15. He's progressively becoming the starting running back in Denver. I said it in the preseason. I wasn't too confident in CJ Anderson. I had him high, but I was never putting him on any of my teams. And this is why. The Denver running back situation is always in question. No one ever knows who's going to start there. Everyone thought Gary Kubiak would establish CJ Anderson as a 3-down back. He's no Arian Foster, okay? CJ Anderson, I'm letting him go. I am actually considering dropping CJ Anderson if I have him. I know if you're in a deep league, 12-man, yeah, don't drop him. But if you're in an 8 or a 10-man league and you see a guy like, not Devon, if you see a guy, I might even drop CJ Anderson. I don't really have an example here because, yeah, I don't know, like Duke Johnson. Nah, I wouldn't drop him for Duke Johnson, but I'm really just nervous. I'm not even supposed to be talking about CJ Anderson right now, but Ronnie Hillman, going back to Ronnie Hillman, he has been in a timeshare right now, but Ronnie Hillman's the better running back, okay? I think Ronnie Hillman is really going to perform well. He's the one actually getting the touchdowns right now. He has 2 touchdowns to CJ Anderson's 0, going up against Oakland this week. Great matchup for him. I like Ronnie Hillman as the 15th running back and an RB2 for you. All right, now moving on to 21 through 30. There's unfortunately a lot of guys on here that were potential RB1s that really aren't turning out to be. At 21, Jeremy Hill. 22, Melvin Gordon. 23, Amir Abdullah. 24, LeGarrette Blount. 25, Anthony Dixon. 26, DeMarco Murray. 27, Antonio Andrews. 28, Rashad Jennings. 29, Duke Johnson. And at number 30, the guy I was hating on, CJ Anderson. So I want to highlight 2 guys here, one of them being a first-round stud pick in most leagues, and one of them being a pretty much unknown. You may not even know him yet. But the first guy is Jeremy Hill at 21. I have him at 22. He's questionable going into the week. That's not necessarily something I'd be terribly worried about, but just another thing that's pushing him down farther on this list. Please, I just don't start Jeremy Hill. It's not even that Jeremy Hill's bad, but he's going up against Seattle, and this is just not a good matchup for anyone on Cincinnati this week. So I just am avoiding Jeremy Hill. Another thing to point out is you may think, oh, he bounced back last week. He did, somewhat. Yeah, he dropped 22 points, but he had 9 carries and 3 touchdowns. That is a ridiculous feat. I don't think he does that this week, not even close. I think he might get 4 fantasy points this week at best. So I'm avoiding Jeremy Hill, and potentially moving forward, I think he's not an RB1 anymore moving forward. All right, now the last guy, I'll give you $5 if you can name who it is. Yeah, I'm just kidding, but 27, Antonio Andrews. Have you heard of Antonio Andrews? You probably haven't. I've got him at 28. He's emerging as a potential nice pickup in fantasy, only owned in 20% of leagues on ESPN. So I definitely think, go to your waiver wire right now and pick up Antonio Andrews if you can, because he might be the starter in Tennessee. Okay, Bishop Sankey had 5 carries last week. Andrews had 12, okay? Yeah, you're not going to see too much of Bishop Sankey anymore. I really wasn't high on him ever, so he's got the most carries on the team last week. He's going up against Buffalo, so I'm not saying start him this week, but definitely someone to stash on your bench as a potential beast going forward, as that division he plays in is really bad against the run with Houston, Jacksonville, and Indianapolis all in that division. So I'm really confident that Antonio Andrews can be a nice little steal for a potential RB2 moving forward. All right, yeah, but that will wrap up our quarterback and running back rankings for Week 5. And yeah, you can go ahead and check out our rankings on the website at Your Fantasy Nerd. And as always, subscribe here at Your Fantasy Nerd. So thanks for watching, folks.